I love Cam. That'll never change, okay? It's impossible to not love Cam Heyward. But Cam, my dude, you're trying a little too hard. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. And yes, as everybody knows by now, Cam showed up for OTAs yesterday. Are you moved by that? Are you relieved? Excited? No, I don't mean to speak for you, but no, it's not. Listen, Cam's not going anywhere. Everybody knows that. Cam doesn't have a solitary strand of his DNA that would ever allow him to play for any team other than the Steelers now or into the future. And if you don't believe me, he showed up and said it again right after the practice.
I'm looking to be here. The value is what we decide, but I think for me, I want to be valued at my position. I understand I came off a rough season, but I don't think it's a step down of where I can play. I think at the top of my game, I'm still a top 5 player in my position, and played along in the past. And I bring leadership, and it's not anything I discount.
See, that's Cam. This is the worst protest/holdout of all time. No one's buying it, Cam, or whatever it is that you're trying to convey. It's not needed. And I'm sure from the Steelers' standpoint, which is infinitely more than how any of us on the outside feel, it's not needed or wanted or anything. They're on precisely the same page. They want the same thing. I don't know of too many extension scenarios in which the owner of the franchise will comment, certainly not as associated with the Steelers, but Art Rooney said himself, this was back in January, that they'd be looking forward to some kind of arrangement where they can make sure that Cam's here forever, finish out his career, he's a Steeler for all time and all that stuff. He said it. Omar Khan said it. Mike Tomlin said it. Whenever Cam showed up for OTAs yesterday, he and Tomlin had this fun little put their arms around each other session posing for photographers. This is ridiculous. There's no suspense. There's no drama. Maybe Cam wants to drum up some for whatever reason. Maybe there's a certain price tag or value that he has in his head that he'd like to achieve that maybe he thinks will be beyond what the Steelers would or could want to pay someone who's in his mid-30s. But none of that is moved in either direction by any of this. Cam could have just not come to OTAs, and he would have been like a whole lot of other veterans, one of whom was named Troy Polamalu, who just plain old didn't come to these things because he had his own way of preparing for the NFL schedule. Well, Cam did that, and then he didn't. Then he just showed up for the final week of a voluntary set of OTAs and posed with the coach and talked to reporters about the same thing. And yeah, listen, you want to know what I think? In addition to loving Cam, I think Cam, after the 2023 season, wants to be loved back again. I think Cam going out there and playing on what he himself described as a broken groin and not being able to get the push that he wanted, not being able to get the get off that he wanted, and basically being reduced to a technician at the line of scrimmage who knew where to go and what to do, but wasn't necessarily at an elite level to execute it. I think Cam wants some preemptive love and a recollection of what Cam was before the broken groin. That guy that I talked to in Buffalo after that playoff game when he himself told me, and you remember this, he wasn't sure if he was coming back. He went and described some of the restrictions on his game. That guy is looking for a show of faith, not just from the Steelers, but from everybody. Because if there's one predominant trait to this man's beautiful personality, it's that he wants to be loved. He wants to be loved in all settings. Whether he's helping out at a soup kitchen, whether he's contributing clothes at a winter drive, whether he's in a huddle, whether he's in the stadium, whether he's at practice, he wants to be loved. He wants to be that guy. He wants to be that excellent guy. And you know what? He is anyway. He is anyway. He didn't need the Walter Payton Man of the Year award to affirm that. We certainly didn't need it. The reaction around here when he won it was just basically, oh yeah, it's about time. Of course he did. What took so long? And that, my friends, is the same reaction that I'm sensing in the moment. What do you mean, Cam? He's doing what? What for? He's not going anywhere. They're going to sign him. They're going to come up with some kind of extension that covers 3 years, that ensures that the team gets protected in the event that something goes wrong along the way. There's going to be a great big press conference to commemorate it. Rooney himself will be there. We'll declare Cam a Steeler for life. We'll talk about how he's headed not just to the Steelers Hall of Honor, but also to Canton someday. And we're all just going to go, yeah, of course. When we come back, J1Q. This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar. Today's J1Q comes from Chris, who asks, hey DK, why did Omar Khan restructure Alex Highsmith's contract to create space this year in the salary cap, but then spend no additional capital? Is it too soon to say that it was a waste of future cap dollars? Yeah, obviously, Chris, it's too soon. You knew the answer to that question. They can still add players along the way. They still have to sign the rookie class. They still have to, hey, wait a second. What if, okay, listen, how about this, as long as I'm winging it? Let's say, as I've been saying all along, that Omar made that move on the eve of the NFL draft. And remember, it was the literal eve of the draft when the man should have been otherwise big time preoccupied. In case a trade proposal had come along and let's say, the 49ers, for example, had offered up Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel. And yeah, you needed to be ready. You needed to have something in your pocket when you went to the store. But it didn't materialize. It still hasn't materialized, and it might not materialize. I see everybody getting all geeked up about Christian McCaffrey getting the big contract from San Francisco. That doesn't mean anything yet. It doesn't, because the 49ers could do a lot of the same stuff, and they can just keep guys for another year, have a great big we're going for it now kind of season, and then move on from one or both of those receivers after the year. Anyway, so the receivers thing doesn't happen. Omar has already restructured Highsmith's contract. He has other contracts that he could restructure, of course, with the player's blessing. And he could front load Cam's deal. He could front load Cam's extension. He could say, here, Cam, we understand what it is that you're looking for. We understand that you were contractually owed $22 million, at least in terms of cap space for the coming season. We respect that. We respect who you are. We're going to honor that. And we're going to do it a little bit differently. We could do it over 2 years. We could do it over 3 years. We could do it all in 1 year. Who knows? If Cam tells you, and he repeated this yesterday, by the way, that he wants to play 3 more years, it doesn't mean that you have to honor it. I mean, heck, Ben Roethlisberger, Troy Polamalu, James Harrison, they all eventually got shoved out the door, or at least nudged out the door a little bit. Cam's not going to be an exception to that. When he's done, he's done. But with the way NFL contracts aren't guaranteed, you can call it a 3-year contract, and you can make sure that he gets whatever money he thought was coming to him. But you can look around at your current roster and say, listen, all we really need here is a wide receiver. I mean, we might not even need that. And by the way, they might not be available to us at a reasonable price. So we're going to allocate these dollars in this cap space to fronting Cam. Just a thought. Just a thought. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers, and we're going to do another one of these tomorrow.